now since we have a comic, that's going to be a hard episode. Since we have a comic centric episode,
like
I'm going to finally talk about something I read a while ago. I looked up just best Spider-Man storylines or arcs, and I just started like writing notes.
I have a guess of what this is.
This is like the one that was like, this is the best one. You got to read this. So it's the trade paperback I read it in was Death of the Stacys, but it's like the night Gwen Stacy died story arc.
Wait, do you have it with you?
I don't, but I have a different visual aid. It's the
oh yes.
Before I read that, I reread this because I finally found it. The trade paperback of the first 10 issues. I also reread this.
Sorry, in which I brought out my visual aids.
Yeah. But I've read that a couple times in my life, but more recently what I'm going to talk about. Death of the Stacys, that's also in a trade paperback. I don't have it with me because I checked it out from a library.
So it was both of them? It was both. What's her dad's name? I forget.
Yeah.
It was the one
both.
with her dad. Okay, and Gwen.
Yeah.
The one I own, because I own this, is the one where it's the death of Gwen Stacy, and the first 3 are about Harry Osborn and drug addiction he has.
I think that's exactly what because it's issues ranging from 1970 to 1973. The first few are Stan Lee issues.
Yeah.
But then the vast majority are Gerry Conway issues. So like the main story arc.
Remind me to make a recommendation for people who have read this first 10 one.
I need that because I didn't get around to. I think I couldn't find a copy of it, but the next one I want to read is the Kraven's Last Hunt. Yeah,
Kraven. I think I got confused with X-Men. Kraven's Hunt or something. Kraven's Last Hunt.
So this was it really felt like I was getting a little more of this flavor.
Yes.
Even though it wasn't, the majority of it wasn't Stan Lee, but most
God,
of the other Spider-Man
I love
comics.
Marvel comics from the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, I know. I really have not gotten into many Marvel comics that are more contemporary. I really like this era. Yeah, it was like this on steroids. It was so well written, and
a little bit literally with Harry's problem.
Oh yeah. I guess so. That is no offense intended, Harry.
Yes.
So first of all, great Doc Ock stuff going on in it. And the fact that he like guides his tentacles without him being there at the beginning of it, I think, which I thought was really cool. And this is something I really love, but I think is funny about old comics. It might be a Stan Lee writing thing, or it might be just comics in general from back then, but they like over explain things.
Yes.
Where like they're like, he's like, Ock must be guiding them from somewhere, but he's still in jail. He's making them attack themselves. They'll attack anyone who tries to stop them. And it's like, yeah, you said exactly what's happening.
Yes.
But I like it. It's got a charm to it. It had a big emphasis on Peter Parker being a scientist, which was a new angle for me that I really liked.
During the Gwen Stacy era, he's like in college.
Right. Yeah. So I kind of saw a different era for the first time, a different part of his life for the first time.
It was more like the Sam Raimi era than some of like the recent adaptions.
Yeah. And yeah, it's mostly quite a showdown with Doc Ock. Some great losses. I mean, I'd say no spoilers, but the title is yeah, see if you can figure it out. Iceman shows up.
Little X-Men crossover.
Cool. Yeah, they should make a film universe around this stuff.
Yeah, they should. Maybe one day.
And speaking of adaptions, Green Goblin makes an appearance, and I did not know this, but the end of Spider-Man 1
it's
has to
from
be adapted
there,
off.
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know. I was getting to that part, and I was like, I've seen this before.
Wait, what? I'm getting deja vu, but I've never read this before. What's going on?
I was like, oh, no wonder this is such a famous arc. It's been adapted into a movie.
Yes. And they did
that particular part.
They did a bit of that in the 90s Spider-Man cartoon, except because obviously it was a Saturday morning cartoon, so they couldn't kill off the Goblin. Yeah. So in the 90s Spider-Man cartoon, he has like a portal thing, and it's right after he throws Mary Jane off the George Washington Bridge. She falls into a portal, but Spider-Man thinks she fell into the ocean, and he jumps in, tries to find her, and she's not there. And so he thinks Green Goblin killed Mary Jane, which we saw that again in Sam Raimi's first movie where he brings her to the bridge.
Yeah.
And he goes to fight the Green Goblin being like, this is it. And then he's like, no, I can't do it. And there's a moment where the Green Goblin's turning back to Norman Osborn because the portal is open and it's unstable and he's being sucked in. And he's yelling for Spider-Man to help him as Norman Osborn. And Spider-Man's like, revenge is never the best option. So he goes to try to save Norman Osborn. And then he gets his laugh and goes back to his Green Goblin voice. And the glider comes crashing for Spider-Man, and he ducks out of the way, and it hits Norman, and then Norman flies into the portal, and the portal closed. And then Spider-Man yells, "No, it can't end like this!" Oh, it was so good. I remember watching that and just getting goosebumps, like, oh my God. Because in the episode before, no, it's the same episode, Norman stalks Spider-Man to find out he's Peter. And there's a moment where Norman's having a party and they're all at a dinner table. And then Norman turns to Mary Jane in front of everyone. And then he goes, you know, Mary Jane, Peter and I have a little secret. And then you hear Peter in the show, you could hear Peter's inner monologue. And he's like, what is he talking about? And then Norman's like, I think, Peter, we should share your little secret with everyone. He's like, he does know I'm Spider-Man. Oh, it was such a good show. Such a good episode. But yes.
That's awesome.
That storyline, even in Peter and Sam Raimi's movie.
Yeah, it's a great storyline. So, yeah, that's that's about all I have to say about it. I think it was a good introduction. I wish
it were a fun read where everyone dies?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. She's like, it's just not Mary Jane. Who cares?
Yeah. It's like
Does she still speak in her hippie? Because she used to be like, hey, what's going on, Daddy-o? She's very 60s in her speaking in her first introduction.
She might have. I can't remember.
I think they might have toned it down.
Yeah.
A little bit, but man, she was very much from the 60s. She used so much 60s slang.
Yeah.
What's going on, cool cats?
Yeah. Oh yeah, didn't you say before we move on to your thing, didn't you had like a recommendation?
Yes. For people who have read the first 10 issues graphic novel.
Yeah.
In 2014, they did a thing called Spider-Man Year 1. Now, anytime you hear Year 1, you should get excited.
Yeah.
But it's called Spider-Man Year 1 Learning to Crawl by Dan Slott. Now, normally, I'm not the biggest fan of Dan Slott, but every once in a while, he will turn out something great. And this was a great one. It's basically, it's a story that takes place within the first year of Spider-Man's story, the Spider-Man storyline. So you see, there was the main person is the person who I think because they had to change it because it's in 2014, they couldn't make it be in the 60s. But it's a person who, when Spider-Man goes to wrestle Crusher Hogan, he videotaped it on his phone and posted it on YouTube, and he made Spider-Man the star. Oh. And then because Spider-Man isn't, he's kind of like this creepy nerd, where because Spider-Man doesn't become his friend, he becomes this villain called Clash.
Oh.
And we see what happened in between the issues, like there's at one moment you see, like it starts off right at the end of Amazing Fantasy 15 where he's coming home after capturing the burglar, and we see Peter and Aunt May at Uncle Ben's funeral. So if you are a fan of those first 10 issues, the first year of The Amazing Spider-Man, check out Dan Slott's Spider-Man Year 1, Learning to Crawl, which is like a Lion King 1.5. It shows what happened in between the issues.
Yeah.
And it's got some great covers by Alex Ross.
That's awesome. So if you're a fan of this,
yes,